Today we are going to study the chapter named as Our Changing Earth. So let's begin. Before we start this chapter, we must know what are the lithospheric plates. The outer rocky part of the earth is known as lithosphere, and the lithosphere is broken into several fragments, often known as plates. And these plates are floating over hot magma and are highly unstable. And the reason for their instability is the convective currents which are flowing in the upper mantle, causing the movement of these plates. So, lithospheric plate is highly unstable and they often collide with each other. You can see in this picture the convective currents are flowing inside the earth crust, and you can see that lithosphere is moving left side and towards the right side, between which you can see there is a ridge, and at the left side and the right side you can see the trenches where the plate is getting submerged towards the another plate. So the lithospheric plates are continuously in motion, and the reason behind their motion is the convective currents which are flowing inside the earth's surface. Now we are going to study about the earth movements. Earth movements are basically the movement caused over the earth, and the reason behind these movements are exogenic forces and the endogenic forces. The forces which operate over the surface of the earth are called exogenic forces, whereas the forces which operate deep down inside the earth are called endogenic forces. Endogenic forces are of two types. Number one is the sudden forces, and number two is diastrophic forces. Sudden forces include earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslide, whereas diastrophic forces include mountain building forces, which takes a longer period of time. When we talk about exogenic forces, they are of basically erosional and depositional in nature, and the agents of erosion are river, wind, sea waves, and glaciers. So, Earth movements are caused by two types of forces, endogenic forces and exogenic forces. And we often say that the endogenic forces are creating the landforms, whereas exogenic forces are destroying the landforms. Now we are going to study about a volcano. A volcano is a conical vent or opening in the earth crust through which the molten material erupts suddenly. As you can see in this picture, that hot magma deep inside the earth, that is magma chamber, it finds its way towards the earth's surface and it cools down and solidifies. And again this process repeats, which lead to the formation of a conical structure which we call a volcano. And in that picture you can see there is a red color vent, red color pipe like structure which we call a vent. The upper part of the opening is known as the crater of the crater of the volcano, and that is the red color lava flowing outside the volcano. That is a volcano. Let's see what is an earthquake. Movement of the lithospheric plate. As I already told you, the lithospheric plates are highly unstable. They are floating over the magma, so they are unstable. So they often collide with each other, and whenever this collision occurs, vibrations are created, and these vibrations are called earthquakes. And whenever the earthquake occurs, the place in the crust where the movement starts first is called the focus. And the place on the Earth's surface above the focus is called the epicenter. Epicenter is the place where the uh, vibrations appear for the very first time. The vibrations produced by during the earthquake travels to outwards as the waves, and the waves generated during an earthquake are of three types: P waves, S waves, and L waves. As you can see in this picture, there are two tectonic and lithospheric plates. One is moving towards the right, and other one is moving towards the left. And the place where those two plates are colliding is the focus. This is where the earthquake occurs, and it is the origin of the seismic energy. What is seismic energy? The energy generated by the collision of the two plates leading to the earthquake is called seismic energy. And epicenter is just up 90-degree above the focus, and it is over the surface of the earth, whereas focus is deep down the crust. You can see there are waves are also given: P waves, S wave, and L waves, in which L waves are the highly destructive waves which causes huge loss to life and property. You can see this is the instrument which is used to record the earthquake vibration, and this instrument is known as seismograph. This is the Richter scale over which we calculate the magnitude of the earthquake. From 0 to 8, this is the magnitude of the earthquake. From 0 to 2, you can see this is a not felt, 3 to 4 a minor earthquake, 5 to 6 reading suggests small earthquake, and when you go upwards, you will see the severity of the earthquake increases. Now we are going to talk about exogenic forces. The forces which are continuously shaping the earth are called exogenic forces, and they are basically these forces are basically operating through weathering, erosion, and deposition. Weathering, what is weathering? Breaking up of the rocks by rainfall, sunlight, or wind. The effect of the climate breaks down the rock into small fragments. That is called weathering. And when these small fragments or the broken material are worn away and transported by the agents like air, water, wind, or glacier, that process is known as erosion. And when these broken materials and sediments gets deposited, that process is known as deposition. Now we are going to study about various landforms. First one is the waterfall. Waterfall is basically the sudden interruption over the channel of a river, and the river falls from a certain height. That structure is known as waterfall. As you can see in the picture also, there is a sudden interruption in the channel of the river and the water is falling over a certain height. That landform produced is known as waterfall. Now we'll see what is meandering. Whenever the river enters the plain, it twists and turns, forming large bend-like structure. They are known as meanders. As you can see, the river is taking huge turns, and these turn-like structure are known as the meanders. Now, next one is oxbow lake. I will show you how oxbow lakes are formed. So you can see this is the flow of the river, and the river is flowing this way. This one, that flow of the river continuously strike down towards this place and it erodes the material continuously. And this erosion will be continued and the river structure will be like this. And one day the river will directly flow in this direction straight. And this portion will be separated by the river. And that is how an oxbow lake is formed, as you can see in this next picture. So that is how an oxbow lake is formed. Now we are going to talk about the floodplains. Whenever the flood occurs, the flooding of the river deposits the fine sediments along the banks of the river, which led to the formation of floodplains which are highly fertile. Next is levees. What are the levees? Whenever the flood occurs, at the bank of the rivers, at both the banks of the rivers, the finer sediments get deposited and they made a wall-like structure which is known as natural levees. As you can see, these are the natural levees. These are the wall-like structures developed after the occurrence of floods. Next one is the delta. Delta is formed when the speed of the river decreases and it deposits all the sediments which breaks down the river into several distributaries, and this structure formed is known as a delta. Next is work of the sea waves. The erosional feature of the sea waves continuously erodes down the rock, and you can see that a cave-like structure has been formed by the erosional works of the sea waves. That is called a sea cave. These are sea arches. Sea arches are formed because of the erosional structure of the sea waves. As you can see, the continuous erosion of the sea waves has deformed this rock and a bridge-like structure has been formed. These are sea arches. This is a sea stack. Now I will show you how sea stacks are formed. Sea stacks are formed because of the continuous erosion of the sea arches. Let me show you how sea stacks are formed. As you can see, the continuous erosion of the sea waves has created this hollow-like structure, and one day that portion will fall down due to gravity, and that piece of rock will be separated, and that is how a sea stack is formed. As you can see in the next picture, that is how a sea stack has been formed. Now we are going to talk about the works of ice. Glacier is also known as the river of ice, and it also erodes the lower level and the side portion of the land. And whenever a glacier moves, it creates a U-shaped valley. Whereas the rivers are creating V-shaped valleys, glaciers are creating U-shaped valleys. And whenever a glacier melts down, certain lakes are formed at the bottom of the glacier. As you can see, These lakes are formed at the bottom of the glaciers, and these lakes are known as ribbon lakes. Now we are going to talk about work of wind. Wind is also very strong erosional agent, and you can see that mushroom rocks are found in the deserts because the tools of erosion, that finer sediments which the air carries during whenever it blows, they strikes over a rock and continuously erodes a rock. So you can see that lower level of the rock has been eroded continuously, whereas the upper level of the rock is intact because the wind cannot carry the tools of erosion at much height. So that upper portion has been eroded very less, whereas the lower portion has been eroded highly. So that you can see a mushroom-like structure has been formed. These are called mushroom rocks. Sand dunes are also formed by the erosion and depositional feature of the winds. Whenever the wind blows, it carries all the sediments, and whenever the wind stops blowing, it deposits those sediments. And these sand dunes, these are the hill-like structure. They are formed by the erosional and depositional action of the wind. And this is all for this chapter. Thank you.